Week 15 of the NFL season has come and gone with some pretty big ups and downs with some of the games we witnessed. Didn't have the greatest week, didn't have the worst either. Now we're going to move into Week 16. We're into the final stretch of the year. Playoffs are just around the corner. Very important stuff here. And I'm not sure if the games are necessarily going to match the intensity, but we'll see. Here's my breakdown and predictions for the week ahead. Make sure to like and sub if you haven't already, if you like these types of videos. Without further ado, let's take a look into the action, starting with Thursday night, December 19th, where the Broncos take on the Chargers. This could, on paper, be one of the better games of the week. Two teams around the same record, divisional rivals in the AFC West, coming off weird weeks where they're trying to bounce back and be more consistent as overall teams, I'd say. The Broncos got a W, yes, but their offense wasn't exactly great in that game. The Colts just made a lot of mistakes. Meanwhile, the Chargers got absolutely steamrolled in the second half against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The defense showing some cracks. This is going to be a tough one. The Chargers, I think, should be favored, seeing as they're at home, and they've beaten this Denver team before, but it's probably not going to be as easy as the last time, seeing as the Broncos have come a very long way since that first meeting. That Denver defense has improved, Bo Nix has improved. It should be another one of those scrappy, somewhat low-scoring games like the last time, and as I always say, I feel like that type of match favors the Chargers. I feel like they have the Broncos number, even if Bo Nix is starting to play a lot better compared to that last meeting. So I'll take the Chargers in like a low-scoring game where they win, like, I don't know, 20-17. That sounds about right for these two. Next up, we got the Texans and the Chiefs. We're moving into some Saturday action. We're at that time of the year. And this one's really weird because I wouldn't say either team has been that impressive, despite what the records may say. A bit disappointing in terms of the level of play. And we don't really know the status of Pat Mahomes this early in the week. Right now, I would bet that there's a good chance he could end up missing this game. He literally did not return in that Cleveland match, even though it didn't matter that much. They weren't in any danger of losing that game. It's still something to notice because, usually Mahomes would jump back into those games. Maybe cause for concern. It's also a short week. You only have 6 days rest for this game. And then there's a Christmas game soon after as well. So I don't know if Mahomes will be ready in time. There's a lot of preparation that goes into these things. And, if he doesn't play, you obviously have to go with the Texans. Now, Mahomes does play. Just knowing how untrustworthy Houston has been in these big games, I'd probably go with KC. It really depends on who's starting at QB for the Chiefs. Put an asterisk on this one, but I'm curious to see if he'll be healthy enough to go out there. In the other Saturday matchup, another big one on the horizon here, Steelers versus Ravens Part 2. They always play each other close. Steelers have typically had Lamar's number, but I don't know if it happens this time. Steelers are maybe starting to plateau a bit. Offense looked a little bit sluggish in that game against Philly. TJ Watt went down with an injury as well. We don't know if he'll be anywhere near ready to go. And without him, it's going to be real tough for the Steelers to generate enough pressure for the Ravens to make a lot of mistakes. I think the Ravens come back and they'll be more prepared for this one, and they'll get the W as simply the more healthy team. They had some rest recently. They look more calibrated, if you want to call it that. Lamar looks good again, even though it's against a beat-up Giants team. I think they'll be ready. They got a good warm-up in against the Giants, while the Steelers are starting to hobble a little bit. So Ravens this time get the W. There's too much on the line here. We're trying to take the lead in the division, and I don't think they squander it. Speaking of the Giants, they're kicking off the Sunday afternoon slot when they play the Atlanta Falcons, and of course, Atlanta's going to win this game. I firmly believe Giants will not even come close to winning a game or being competitive from here on out. There's a chance that Tim freaking Boyle is going to be the starting quarterback again, just knowing the health of Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. Easiest Atlanta W in the world. I don't care how bad they've been recently. The Giants are just an absolute atrocity. They're a train wreck. It's kind of sad to think they actually look the best they have in a while, passing the ball to Malik Neighbors with Tim Boyle out there of all people. But the Falcons, they're just a way better team. Giants are boomed, and that's that. Oh yeah, and we're going to move on to the other New York team, or I guess I should say New Jersey, knowing where they play, when the Jets host the Rams. And, the Jets, these last few weeks, offensively, they're starting to get it going. I'm impressed. Rodgers has strung together, 2 300-yard games in a row or something close to that. Best he has looked all season with this team. Devontae and Garrett Wilson both look good out there. That Rams secondary can very easily get exposed, as we saw in that game against Buffalo recently. But the Jets are frauds. They're really not special. They just barely beat the Jaguars and Mac Jones, for crying out loud. The Rams have a big opportunity to win their division. The Jets are so unproven against real teams this season, and that probably rears its ugly head here yet again. You can't trust the Jets in big games. It hasn't been their year. The Rams, they're starting to catch fire. They may end up running away with this division here at the end, and I have them beating the Jets pretty handily as the significantly better team. Then we've got part 2 of the Eagles-Commanders NFC East rivalry. Last time these two played, it was a pretty close game, but Philly did inevitably pull away in that game. Although this one could feel a little bit different with the vibes, because Saquon seems to be dealing with a little something, in his words, so maybe he won't be totally ready to go in this game. He was quite dominant in that matchup against the Commanders. He was the closer, and if the run game isn't as strong, then there's a possibility for the Commanders to keep themselves in this game. You know they want to get revenge for that last one, but I don't know if they have it in them. Maybe at home it gives them a bit of an advantage, but Jaden Daniels kind of struggled against this Eagles defense the last time they played. And if we're being honest, this Philly defense is just rolling even harder. They've been stopping a lot of good teams in their tracks, controlling time of possession. Jalen Hurts is looking more confident as the weeks go on. Him and A.J. Brown have destroyed the recent allegations against them. And just knowing that weak Commanders secondary, I don't believe the Commanders will be able to keep up. They're outmanned. The Eagles defense is too strong. And genuinely, without them being able to force turnovers on this Philly team, I don't see how they win it. So I got the Eagles. They're just the better team, no doubt about it. Then you've got the Cardinals versus the Panthers. And even though the Panthers played like crap against Dallas last week, there's still some room for an upset here. Knowing how the Panthers have played and just knowing how weird the Cardinals have been this season. This is a tough one to call. This is probably the closest I would be to calling like a true bona fide upset, but I'm going to stay away from this one because I did not like what I saw in that Dallas game. Weird as the Cardinals are, they've shown to me they can beat down on garbage teams this entire season, and clearly they have the Panthers' number when it comes to the talent department, and the Cards defense is a bit underrated as well, and I believe that they can cause some pressure on Bryce Young to win this game. Maybe it's a little closer than they'd like it to be, but the Panthers have shown me they still have a long way to go after that game against Dallas, and I think the Cardinals will roll on through and keep their hat in the possible NFC West divisional champion. Now for Bengals versus Browns. Now initially, I thought this game could be one of the better ones of the week, could end up being a shootout, seeing as Jameis Winston and Joe Burrow throw for a lot of yards, but unfortunately, it would seem the Browns don't want to go through with that plan because of how badly Jameis played against the Chiefs. He is officially being demoted to QB2, and in comes Dorian Thompson-Robinson to be the starting quarterback in this game. And now they really don't have a chance against a team like the Bengals. I mean, with Jameis, I thought maybe because he has those games from time to time, he could torch this trash Bengals defense, but I find it difficult to imagine the Browns move the ball with that same explosiveness with Jameis on the bench. So you got to take the Bengals in a pretty easy effort here. Joe Burrow and the boys should roll all over them, and the Browns simply will not keep up. Then we head on over to Indy versus Tennessee, and at the end of the day, one team has Mayo Man and the other doesn't, and that's why you just gotta go with the Indianapolis Colts. Now, it's not to say that I love where this Colts team is at. I'm not impressed with what I've seen. They're really starting to fall off. The losses are piling up, and they're just so rough to watch with the horrible mistakes they always seem to make on offense. With that tough Tennessee defense, this may end up being a pretty scary game the Colts somehow drop, but I like them to win just because I know they have more potential to make explosive plays compared to the Titans, who a lot of the time are just shooting themselves in the foot. So I think the Colts will win this game, although it probably will be ugly on both sides, just knowing how their seasons have gone so far, and the fact that this is a divisional game. Speaking of divisional games, to conclude the 1 p.m. games, the Lions are playing the Chicago Bears. And the Bears, they're cooked at this point. They look horrendous. I mean, after that Thanksgiving game against Detroit, it's been nothing but downhill. And I expect the way better team to win this game pretty easily. I am a little concerned with all of these injuries continuously piling up with Detroit. I mean, they're basically getting guys off the streets to play on their defense at this point. No Montgomery for the rest of this season as well is definitely going to hurt. And maybe the Bears are actually able to put up some points and Caleb has one of his better games of the season season, but you just can't trust Chicago with how they've played. They're already eliminated from playoff contention. Their season's over. They've been struggling mightily. There's too much on the line for Detroit. They don't have anything guaranteed right now. This is a gimme game they've got to win if they want to stay in first place in the NFC, and they'll take it for sure. There are bigger challenges ahead, and they know they've got to win this one. A game that could be a bit more fun is the Vikings and the Seahawks. Seattle and anything to do with the NFC West is extremely unpredictable. They all go on hot and cold streaks over there. Seattle, it seems like maybe their hot streak has come to an end after what we saw in the Green Bay game, and the Vikings are a pretty tough team. They are at home, which gives them some kind of advantage, but at the same time, Geno Smith went down with an injury. There's no guarantee that he'll be fully healthy or even ready to go at all in this game. And if they don't have him out there, they really don't stand a chance. They're already the underdogs in this game. But if he's hobbled, damn, the Vikings may just run away with this one. Sam Darnold and the boys, they're starting to look real good again out there. They get on their own hot streaks from time to time. This is a really good Minnesota team, and Seattle have proven to be kind of fraudulent at times, so there's just no way in my right mind that I could pick Seattle, knowing their situation. I got the Vikings in this one. Too big of a game for them to waste. Then it's, oh god, Patriots versus Bills. How does it feel, Pats fans? You are now on the opposite side of the spectrum. You have gone from being the big brother to these guys, always beating them, to usually getting the brakes beaten off of you by them. That's how it's going to go. Patriots are awful. The Bills look like Super Bowl contenders right now. Josh Allen and the offense are literally on fire. Looks like the potential MVP of the league right now with how he's playing, although some people may argue Lamar. We're not going to get too into that. But regardless, that Pats defense lacks talent, and Buffalo's been rolling some really good teams recently. So they should very easily be putting up 30 plus in this one for sure. Maybe it's sloppy because it's a divisional game, but ain't no way they're losing to this Pats team with where they are right now. Should be an easy Buffalo W. Then it's, oh my god, I can't even believe this is coming out of my mouth. Jaguars versus Raiders. One of the various toilet bowls that has been played throughout this year is up on the schedule, and this one could very well decide how this draft order ends up going. Really important game here. And sadly, it's winnable for both sides, knowing how trash they both are. And, you know, Aiden O'Connell's been getting closer to being ready to go out there. And if he is healthy, you may end up favoring the Raiders at home here. It really depends on him. Although at the same time, the Jaguars have been showing some fight in recent weeks. Mac Jones has looked the best he has since like his rookie year. I can't even lie to you. He's doing some ridiculous things out there. He did everything he could to try and secure this win against the Jets. They came up short in the end, but he showed me a lot there. And if Aiden O'Connell, you know, maybe takes him a bit of time to get going, maybe the Jaguars should actually be the favorites to win this game. You know what? Screw it. I am going to pick the Jaguars to win this game. The Raiders are the team of destiny to be like a top 2 pick in the NFL draft this year. They want to get Shedeur Sanders, and I firmly believe that is going to play out in their favor. They'll find a way to lose no matter who is at quarterback. Mac Jones is not going to let this opportunity go to waste. He's going to ball out and win the toilet bowl. Congrats in advance, Jaguars. And in the final 4 p.m. slot, it's the 49ers versus the Dolphins. And, you know, usually I would highly advise against picking the Dolphins in December against a relevant opponent. It never ends well for them here in this Tua era, but they're not playing a relevant team. It's crazy to say that, but the Niners have shown us time and time again they ain't ready for prime time this year. Between bad performances and all the injuries, it's just not meant to be. This team is down to 6-8, and after what I saw in that Rams game, how horrible they looked, the mindset, the body language, the way Deebo Samuel was playing, and the fact that a player literally quit on the team mid-game, that tells me all I need to know that this Niners team is done. Their season is finished. There's no way they're coming back from this, even though there's still a chance for them. The Dolphins, on the other hand, though, even though they suck in December usually, they're showing fight week after week. That Texans game was rough, but they were still in it. They still have a chance here. They're not going to waste it against a disgruntled Niners team that's injured to hell and back. I think the Dolphins, with a significantly better, more consistent offense, are going to get the better of the 49ers. It may be an ugly game. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting. But I think the Dolphins pull away and beat a Niners team that looks all but defeated already. Then we head into Sunday night, and I cannot believe that the Cowboys keep getting on primetime despite where their team is at, but they're taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, and I'll give the Dallas Cowboys some credit despite how I feel about them right now. They played well against the Panthers, the most life I've seen from them in quite a while, actually. And the fact that they're actually kind of underdogs, at least according to Vegas, makes it a bit cooler. But against Tampa, they really don't stand much of a chance. Let's be honest here. Tampa is fighting to win the NFC South. They just hung like 40 points on the Chargers, and the Cowboys defense is significantly worse. Diggs just went down with another season-ending, what do we want to call it, injury or surgery. And yeah, I don't really see how the Cowboys can keep pace with Baker and those boys. They really have nothing to play for. Dallas have the slimmest of slimmest chances to make the playoffs, and they're not going to beat a real team like the Buccaneers. They can only beat the crap teams. That's how it's gone all season this year, and that's how it will continue to go. Baker pummels these boys into the dirt, and Buccaneers get an easy W. And then we finish off on Monday night, Saints versus Packers, and whether Derek Carr is ready to go or not is completely irrelevant. It only decides how competitive this game could possibly be. Packers are a significantly better team, trying to keep pace not only in the NFC North, but to make sure they can get the highest seed humanly possible heading into the playoffs, and generally outside of the games against their own division. In the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 1, where Jordan Love got hurt, they have handled their business well, and I'd expect more of the same here. They've beaten up teams very easily that are much better than what the Saints are right now, so you should expect the Packers to go out there and dominate pretty easily. Saints, there's not much left for them at this point. The injuries are piling up. Packers are way healthier, way better. That's really all there is to it. And that's just about going to do it for my breakdown and predictions for Week 16 of the NFL. I'll also give you a couple of my bets for the week that I would do if I was a betting man, just because I know some of you are into that stuff. First and foremost, Dolphins, right now, if you're an early bettor, definitely take the spread at 1.5. The Niners feel pretty defeated to me. That seems like a good way to potentially win some money. And I'd also look into the Vikings covering against Seattle, because they've proven they can't hang in there with a lot of the relevant teams for the most part. Those are the two I'd go with anyhow. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and what your big predictions are for this week. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more NFL content.